Hi, this is Cycle 3, Week 19, Great Composers. So we've finished out our great artists, and now we're going to move on to composers of the modern and romantic periods. We will be studying 5 different composers, and then we will take 1 week to work on orchestra. So we will be doing a instrument each week to go along with an instrument that would be played in that orchestra in that time. So our first one is the Romantic period, and we are going to study Chopin, Tchaikovsky, and Debussy. And I have a little bit of a longer definition of what the Romantic period was. You can take as long or as little, or maybe your kids know what musicians were in the Romantic period and what defined it, so you can ask them that too. Then we move on to the modern period. I see in my script here that it says under number 3, define romantic music. It should be define modern period. I'll try and change that before you guys get it, but if you see that, it is right, but the words are right. Anyway, okay, so the modern orchestra, so I looked up this a little bit because I didn't really know anything about it, but it seems like they said the modern orchestra was smaller than the romantic orchestra, but then when I looked, it said that the modern orchestra has about 100 people, and then it said the romantic orchestra has about 100 people. So after a little bit of research, not super in-depth, but it seems like the modern orchestra really just varies in size, and it has a much bigger strings lot than the romantic period does. I think the romantics are like an average of 100 to even bigger, while the modern just varies so much from just anything of super small to super big. And so I think to put a number on it is hard to say, but I think the smaller is more common than the super large orchestras. So I think that's something to be said about that. We don't need to touch on it too much, but just if you are reading through it and it doesn't really make sense to you, I just wanted to clarify that. So we're going to do Chopin this week. You have that 5-minute Mozart. So the link is in your notes, but this is a great, it's not even 5 minutes, it's like 2 minutes of his really quick life and the important facts and those kinds of things. So if you want to think that your kids would like that, to show it in class, he does show a couple of pictures and stuff as well while he's talking, and it talks about his life a little bit, and you might want to pre-listen to them. Sometimes they're not completely appropriate. The musicians didn't always have a perfect, perfect's not the right word, they didn't have a God-centered life. So just a heads up on that. And then I also have a note about the lives of the musicians. Not all of the next 5 weeks will have this, but it is like a 3-page summary. Wouldn't recommend reading it all, but it is a good overview, just like the 5-minute Mozart. So maybe you like one more than the other, maybe you like them both, but I'm going to give you them both just as a reference. And then I picked out 3 facts that I thought were either interesting or relevant or anything like that, and so those are on your script as well to look over and to have the kids help them remember something about each of the composers that they're learning. This week we are going to make a flute. This will be probably the least involved that the kids will be. They will get a sorry, I lost my train of thought. They will get a PVC pipe that will have pre-drilled holes in it. I really hope this is going to happen. If it doesn't, I will figure out something else before this week. But they should get a PVC pipe that will have holes that should kind of play like a tin whistle style, like a flute, but it will be blown over the top, like they hold it like this, it will be blown like this instead of blown into it like a tin whistle. Anything that you can think to decorate it with, I think permanent markers you're going to be your best bet if you're going to do a marker. If you have any washi tape, maybe we can order some for the community as well, but you have to keep the holes open, so it might just be best just to write their names and let them take it and kind of play with it. Then you also are going to have a piece, a composition made by the composer that we're talking about. So this week it's Nocturne Op 9 number 2. I have the link on it on your paper that you need to pull up, so you can either have the kids listen and try and play along, or you can have them listen while you're talking, or you can have it in the background. There's definitely different ways to do it, but they should try and listen to it for a while in the course of the 30 minutes that you're doing Great Composers. I also have a couple of weeks. There is a little bit of background on the piece from an interesting YouTube link, and it's just for you as a tutor and maybe a mom if you want to send it out. It's longer, it's like 14 or 15 minutes, but it's very interesting to learn kind of what you're listening to be able to describe it to the kids. So hope that all makes sense. Good luck, and that should be it. You'll definitely have enough to fill your time, because you always do, but because we're not making an instrument, that time is going to be filled with just the general overview of the Romantic and the modern periods and what we're going to be seeing and talking about in the next 6 weeks.